Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:42 p.m. And I'd like to call for the approval of the agenda. Oh, sorry, roll call. Oops, sorry, guys. Is pre-major senator here?
Here.
Set senator?
Here.
Milgard senator?
Here.
Education senator?
Here.
Graduate senator absent. Social work and criminal justice absent.
They're vacant. They're not, new senators don't start until April 4th, I believe.
Okay, so vacant, and then the healthcare and leadership?
Vacant.
Vacant. Okay, awesome. Then I'd like to start a motion to approve the agenda. Can I do that?
Is there a motion?
I motion to approve today's agenda.
I second.
Awesome. Motion by Education Senator and seconded by Milgard Senator. The minutes were all sent to you.
All in favor?
Oh, sorry. Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Aye. I'd like to motion to approve the minutes. They were all sent to you guys. Or sorry, not I would like to motion. Would somebody like to motion?
I motion to approve the approval of the minutes.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Cool. Thank you guys.
Make sure you say I'm going to take the role of Estacia right now. Make sure you say if a motion passes or not.
Oh, yeah. Motion passes. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Now is the time for public comment. Welcome and thank you to those who are members of the public who are present in this meeting today. This segment of the meeting provides the Senate an opportunity to hear new concerns and new perspectives on current issues relating to the UW-Tacoma student body. The Senate will neither discuss nor debate topics raised in public comment. This is not because we do not value comments, perspectives, but to ensure that any related action is taken transparently before a duly notified public. At a future meeting, however, senators may ask clarifying questions of those giving public comment or request to meet to gain further insight during the meeting. In addition, ASUWT is committed to fostering a constructive and respectful environment in these meetings. As such, we kindly ask that all remarks made during public comment reflect professionalism, respect, and come from a place of mutual understanding that we are all here to advocate on behalf of the students. With that, I will now begin public forum.
Hey, y'all. I'm on the agenda for other things, so I'm going to use this time to talk about what happened at the Board of Regents meeting since I haven't had a chance to see you guys since that happened. So that meeting took place both on Wednesday and on Thursday. What happens in the Wednesday Board of Regents meeting are typically committee meetings. In this case, it was the governance committee. And that was where the Board of Regents decided on whether or not to move forward to forming the socially responsible investing to determine if the Board of Regents should make UW divest from Israel. And then on Thursday, they formalize that. So they do committees, and then the actions that take place in the committees on the Thursday meeting, in addition to other committee meetings, their main meeting, they approve what was done in the committee meetings. That makes sense. So I wasn't, due to other work, my other job, I wasn't able to be at the Wednesday meeting in person. However, other UW-Tacoma students were there, and I was actively texting with them regarding what was happening to stay in the loop. What ended up happening was the Board of Regents, they voted to not reform the Socially Responsible Investing Committee, citing that this topic is too divisive and that for UW to divest, it would not impact anything happening overseas. Additionally, there were regents who said, two of them made comments that I think are of note for this board to think about. One openly said that she is a Zionist, and that's why she is not voting in favor of this. And the other one said that considering what's been happening, with divestment proposals in the past and present, UW should consider getting rid of the divestment process altogether. So to be clear, they weren't even voting on divestment. They voted against even starting the process to even look into it. Now, in light of this, I met with Hasnea and Hugo and got their perspective since it was the night before to figure out, okay, because the president has a role in the Thursday meetings, which is presenting not just a written report where I made sure to include your guys' resolution and everything that you guys have been discussing, but I also have a couple minutes in which I can speak directly to the board on record. With taking Hugo and Hasnea's input, I crafted a statement. I can send that to you guys if you guys want to see that in writing, but there are two things that I asked the regents directly in the meeting. I asked them, one, what is the purpose of having mechanisms for reviewing investments for ethicality if they cannot be activated when difficult ethical questions arise? And then I also asked them, what additional steps do you need for the UW-Tacoma Student Senate to take for UW-Tacoma student concerns to be heard through the formation of the advisory committee? What is the next step forward here? They did not answer either of those questions and just proceeded on to the next president to answer it for them to do their report. Following up after the meeting, they did not want to talk about it. So, other piece of context I could provide here, ASUW Seattle's president did not mention the fact that this divestment vote did not pass. She didn't mention it in her report. She didn't talk to the regents about it. And considering that this resolution started from the ASUW Seattle Senate and the president didn't continue it, I think that's very telling. Same thing with GPSS's Senate. That being said, from a tri-campus perspective, there hasn't been any conversation since this happened. And I want to talk to you guys about what you guys would like. In a future meeting, I would encourage you guys to maybe talk about what you guys would like to do going forward, and maybe talk to some of the UW-Tacoma students who were at that and listen to what the general vibe of that meeting was. And just being there at the Thursday meeting, it seemed like a done deal in terms of what the regents thought. So think about what you guys want to do. If you guys want to facilitate a meeting with the Board of Regents chair, I can help support that. If you guys want to talk to them, if you guys want to do something else, you guys are welcome to do that too. Just whatever you guys want. But that's what I have to report back in terms of the Board of Regents meeting.
Is that it? Do we just wrap up public comment? Or okay. I'd like to call an end to public comment or something like that. Cool. Awesome. We don't have any unfinished business. I can just skip that, correct?
Yep, just skip to new business.
Cool. New business. Got the vote for bylaw 206.01 changes, which is adding hybrid meetings, making it more accessible for senators to attend work. Let's see, it should be up here, right?
Yep.
206.01. Right. Here's the bylaw if you guys want to read it. And then if anybody would like to motion to change. To 206.01.
I would like to motion to vote on the 206.0.
Motion to vote or motion to approve?
Motion to approve the voting procedure 206.00.
The voting is approved, and then it'd be motion to vote, right?
Yep.
I second.
Cool.
All in favor?
Gotta say all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Was that a motion to vote, or was that a motion
To
to
approve.
to approve?
Yeah, to
Okay.
approve.
Okay. Cool. So, aye as well. So, unanimous. Motion passes. Yay! We can attend meetings online now. I will still try my best to be here in public. Okay. All right. Possible vote, student resolution 2502, student legislative fee. You guys should have a paper should look like this.
Can I provide a brief overview, Hugo?
Huh?
Can I provide a brief overview? Just,
You have my permission. No.
Thank you. I'm just trying to follow good procedure.
No, it's cool. It's cool.
So everything is outlined in the email, but just to give a quick wrap up, as we discussed over the summer, the possibility of instituting a student legislative fee to support ASUWT's legislative efforts going forward, especially considering everything that's happening federally and at the state level, especially with them wanting to raise tuition and slash the Washington College grant. We need more resources to be able to support our students that are here with regards to ledge. Example, if we had a legislative fee and a big pot of money, instead of telling students if they're able to drive down to Olympia to boycott Senate Bill 5785, I believe is the number, we could reserve a bus and be able to bus those students down like we did for Huskies on the Hill, making it more accessible to students and be able to help mobilize them. But in order to institute a legislative fee, UW outlines a policy that makes it so, one, we have to collect a student survey, which that data is in front of you, where a minimum of 10% response rate is needed from both undergrad and graduate students, in which we have both combined 507 students completed that survey, 426 for undergrad, 81 for grad. Next, the Senate needs to pass a resolution directing ASUWT's executive leadership to collaborate with UW administration, draft an MOU, and then present the MOU to the Board of Regents for approval. The Board of Regents, what has been communicated to me is that in order to get this instituted for next year, they need to have this ready for their meeting agenda in May. I have everything drafted. I have all the communications and data that I need to be able to communicate with admin. They're ready to work with us on this. I just need this step done. Otherwise, they can't schedule a meet because it can't go anywhere without this resolution per the Board of Regents. Questions? Cool.
Does anybody want a motion?
Also, thank you to Husnea for sponsoring this.
Yeah, of course. I can motion.
I motion to pass the implementing a student legislative fee.
I second.
Motion by Milgard Senator, seconded by Pre-Major Senator. All those in favor? Voting is unanimous. Motion passes.
Thank you all.
Cool,
Love
cool,
you.
cool, cool, cool. $5 more. Okay. And then ASUWT, Constitution and Bylaw Revisions, discussion, possible vote. Is that the 208?
No, this is longer. So
Okay.
you'll have to listen to me yap for a little bit.
Okay, cool.
First, who all read or at least skimmed my email with regards to the ASUWT Constitution and bylaw changes? Okay.
Sorry, I've been busy with finals.
No, you're good, you're good. So basically what the intention of this is reflecting on the challenges that we saw with Senate, with it being smaller, and also just not being as representative of the student body with it being as small. We're considering, okay, how can we expand the size of the Senate to make it more like Seattle Senate, Bothell Senate, other school Senates, to have more representation, and then also have the capability, while also making sure that we don't lose the capability of working with deans and other academic program administrators to make sure that students are represented in the classroom. And then we also wanted to see how we can get a director of equity and accessibility for the work, especially with DEI being under attack federally. So what the ASUWT Executive Board has proposed is a lot of changes to the bylaws, which we may not get to today, but for the Constitution, any changes to the Constitution need to pass the student body as well.
Okay.
Those are very simple changes, so I'd encourage us to start there first. The Constitution is in front of you guys. The bylaws are on email, and I can go up and walk through every single change if you guys would like. But in terms of Constitution, you'll see that there is a change to the Executive Board composition, which allows it to expand beyond the 7 directors that we currently have, which would allow for the creation of any directors as outlined in the bylaws, but in what we're proposing, it would be a director of undergraduate affairs, director of graduate affairs, and director of equity and accessibility. The Constitution changes also proposes some revisions to the Vice President job description, Director of Internal Affairs job description, and Director of Student Technology job description for clarity, and also creates more expectations for the job. Example, with how the Senate would be proposed to change in structure, which would also make it a more separate body. The Director of Internal Affairs would no longer oversee you guys. They would be serving as an HR-related person that would help with the growth of the team in general, will coordinate more team trainings, create more professional development, provide more oversight of our hired staff, since our hired staff is growing with our task forces. And then finally, it would allow for the Senate membership to expand beyond academic units and make the Senate effectively infinite in size, with the potential of capping via the bylaws, which really is capping based on budget, right? How many senates can we afford to pay? How many senators can we afford to pay? Those are the only changes in the Constitution. Everything else in the bylaws reflects those changes, right? So what I would advocate for is, if you guys are fine with the Constitution changes that are in front of you, if you guys were to approve that, that would be helpful for our elections administrative chair, because she can make sure that gets on the ballot in a timely manner. And then we can spend more time on the bylaws, working on specific nitty-gritty things of like job description for the Director of Equity and Accessibility. What specific senators are in there? In the bylaws, you can see that in the case of Senate, some of the appointed senators include like a first-year student senator, a transfer student senator, a Court 17 resident senator, a veteran student senator, et cetera, to make sure it's more than just the academic units that are represented in the student senate, right? Any questions so far?
So
In the mic.
this would apply to next year's board?
Yes. So what would happen is, if you guys voted on the Constitution and it passed, that would mean, because the executive board has already voted on this to try and get ahead of things, the Constitution would be put on the ballot for students to vote on. And if they support this with a 60% majority, then this would become the new ASUWT Constitution, which includes the 3 additional directors, changes to the existing director's job description, and then additional senators, which in the proposed plan that has tentatively been funded by SAFC. That's the one thing, is that one concern that I could hear is, well, if you're increasing directors and Senate size, is that going to cost more? We were able to balance the budget so that SAFC was happy and we didn't have to cut much of anything. And part of this too is the job responsibilities of the Senate would decrease. You no longer would be meeting with your dean, because the Director of Undergraduate and Graduate Affairs would be meeting with the dean to discuss those academic issues. If there's common trends among SET and Milgard, for instance, rather than those senators working independently on those things, you have one director who's working in tandem with those deans to be able to make that change.
Sounds cool.
Eamon?
Yeah, just looking to specify 2 things. One, for the 7 core voting members for the exec board, are those just permanent positions that even with exec board changes can't be removed or anything?
Correct. So what this means is that the existing directors that exist right now, it's saying that no matter what, like if in the future, let's say enrollment tanks, we only had 2,000 students that are enrolled. Because of the Constitution, these positions will exist no matter what. Whereas if we're now at a point where it's like, hey, our budget is fairly healthy, enrollment is going, yes, SAFC is very stingy because of the amount of programs who are utilizing that fund to fund their programs, we can still maintain these operations and have an extra position or 2. But regardless, we need those 7 directors in order to run the organization.
No, yeah, real quick. So for the Senate and exec board caps, is determining that commencement to commencement?
Yes.
That's set?
Yeah, so all of the positions are commencement to commencement. So if you're wondering what would happen after election, for instance, if you guys pass both these proposed constitution and bylaws, after the election concludes and the Senate, not the Senate, the student body also votes on this constitution and it passes, next year's administration will be responsible for hiring 3 additional directors and however many senators. What would be the most ideal scenario, and I think this may end up happening based off of the conversations that I've heard, and you'll see in section 301 of the bylaws that the membership of IES, because it's so large and now it's broken up into different divisions, frankly, different schools, that one IES seat is now 5. So that if there are 3 or 4 people running for IES right now and they're different majors, if this constitution passes, as long as they got at least 1 vote, they're an ASUWT next year because the extra seat will be there.
That's cool because Emmanuel was definitely struggling.
One more question.
Yes.
So you said that,
Can you say into the mic? Sorry.
so the Services and Activities Fee Committee would not be paying for the 3 additional positions in the executive board?
They are.
They are.
So how the budget was able to be balanced is because the directors for undergraduate and graduate affairs will now be taking on the workload of senators. The pay for senators have decreased to be able to compensate for that, but to also make sure more senators are at the table. So what this would be turning the Senate into is what the Senate at Seattle looks like, what the Senate at Buffalo looks like, what the Senate at every other campus looks like, where they don't have a working Senate also doing initiatives, where it's just you're showing up to a meeting and you're voting on different legislation that comes through. Very low commitment. Obviously, other opportunities to learn more. The idea is maybe we get a super senator who wants to be super involved, comes to all those events. More than welcome to. But in terms of what they're required to do, show up to meetings, vote on matters of student concern. If there's another divestment type thing that comes forward, then that's something that they're responsible for.
That's awesome.
Any other questions?
Do we have any like specific numbers for like senator positions, or is it just like by ear?
In terms of like what Senate is projected to be next year?
Yeah.
If you guys were to pass this as it's written right now, you guys would have 18 senators. It would double your Senate.
That's awesome.
18.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
What's the pay cut gonna be?
The chair gets paid.
I'm not gonna be here next year anyways. I'm just
That's fair. It's technically public info if you want to look.
Yeah.
It's the chair would get paid a little bit more because you would need to lead the meeting, obviously. The rate is comparable to the other paid committees, so SAFC, STFC. It's, I believe, $1,500 for each senator for the entire academic year, and then $2,000 for chair.
Okay. Oh, that's not bad.
So when you're going to 1 meeting a week for an entire year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
How are you guys feeling about voting on this?
I feel good right now.
I'm chilling. Yeah. I read through the packet. It doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, it's chill.
Okay.
We need a bigger Senate.
Yeah, we do. And so because the Senate's going to be so much more chilled out next year, I'm assuming there's really no need for an internal affairs.
Internal affairs will just be doing HR things. So they'll be responsible for hiring. They'll be responsible for basically team development.
Right.
Like if there's a person in the Senate or any position that's like, hey, I want to get experience doing this, they will help grow them like any HR person would.
Okay, cool. And so nobody would be looking over the Senate, really. I don't think I saw
No,
anything.
so
Cool.
that's the other exciting thing about this too, and you could see it in the bylaws as well. The Senate will be in charge of their own appointment process, and I can outline what that looks like if you guys haven't looked at it or want just a quick refresher.
You guys, you want to know that?
I just wonder if you could put the bylaws up there.
Oh,
Yeah, the bylaws would be, if you guys want to pull it up there. It's in the
Sorry.
other tab.
Yeah, I saw it.
I just tried to click back in and it needs access.
Weird.
Wrong tab. So this one, proposed constitution.
Yeah, so if you go down to Title III Senate, and then it's 301.03.
Title 3 did not show up. What was the number?
It's 3, Roman numeral.
Oh, 3. Nothing. Yay!
It's page 11.
No, that didn't work either. Okay, page 11?
Yeah.
What page is this? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Right here. Vacancies. Each
Is
member
that
may-
11?
That is 11.
You're in the Constitution.
Oh, oops.
It's the other tab.
Oh, snap.
Sorry, guys.
Oh,
You're good.
snap.
There it is.
All right.
Cool.
11.
Yep. Why is there 2 11s?
What? 1, 2? 12, 12? That's not that bad. 10, 10.
Section 301.3.
Okay, let's just scroll down, guys.
That's-
This is
There we go.
301 and then
So if
03.
you scroll down a little more,
There
we
it
go.
is.
Nomination process. I'll just quickly read it out. To ensure that all appointed senators can represent their designated demographic effectively, the following process will be conducted by the Senate. 1, letter of interest. The candidates interested in the position must submit a written letter of interest to the Speaker of Senate. The Speaker of Senate will then present the candidate to the ASUWT Senate at the next meeting for discussion in an executive session whether or not they should be moved forward in the process. With a majority vote, the ASUWT Senate may deny or accept an interview of a candidate. Step 2, interview. Once the ASUWT Senate has moved forward with the candidate for an interview, they will invite the candidate to an upcoming Senate meeting for an interview. This ensures that the senator is able to make it at the current ASUWT Senate meeting time. The candidate will deliver a 3 to 5 minute pitch outlining their qualifications, goals, and why they are the best fit for the role. Senators will have an opportunity to ask the candidate questions related to their letter of interest and readiness to fulfill the role's responsibilities. After that, step 3, appointment. Following the interview, whether in the same meeting or in a future meeting, the Senate may hold a vote to appoint or reject the candidate. A simple majority of the seated senators is required for the appointment to be approved. And then when the Senate cannot meet quorum or has less than 7 senators, the ASUWT Executive Board may conduct this process if the Senate is unable to do it themselves. Which
Okay.
basically means if no one runs for Senate, this Executive Board can do it to make sure you guys have a Senate to be able to operate.
Okay.
So that makes it so you guys are more independent and you guys can select your own membership and not this whole ASUWT interviews, then we recommend, then you guys look at candidates and then you guys vote. It just makes it more straightforward.
Awesome. What do you guys feel good?
Swell.
Okay. Shall we vote on the new constitution?
The new bylaw.
Bylaw revisions.
I can see, I'm trying to channel my inner Astacia. I think you guys have to be mindful about wording and how you vote on it. So if you do the Constitution separate and if you approve all the changes, the motion would have to read motion to approve all changes in all recommended changes in the ASUWT Constitution. Because how we did it in Executive Board is that we went change by change and motioned. But frankly, that takes way too long. But I think if you guys are very intentional about the motion, you guys are set.
Okay. After reading through all of the revisions of the ASUWT Constitution and bylaw revisions, would anybody like to motion to approve all changes, all proposed changes to the ASUWT Constitution and bylaw revisions?
I motion to approve ASUWT's proposed changes to all the Constitution.
Is that good, Holly?
For the Constitution, you said? Yeah, that's good. And you guys, if you do bylaws, you'd have to do bylaws as well. After, as like a separate motion.
Okay.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes for the Constitution. Would anyone like to approve all changes for the bylaws?
I motion to approve all proposed changes to the bylaws.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Awesome.
Did motion pass?
Oh, motion
Motion.
passes unanimously.
Wow.
Thank you guys. You guys are amazing.
Okay. Do you guys want to do senator updates?
To be honest,
Do we
I'm gonna
have
start
to?
right now. I've just been focused
I've been on finals.
I've just been on finals.
Do you want any of you guys want to do senator updates?
Yeah, I do.
Unfortunately, no one does.
I just had to get mine out there,
Okay, yeah, I met with my dean and we're working to create an event for mental health workshops for students because a lot of our students are doing full-time teaching while also doing classes. So we just want to make sure, and with everything going on in the world right now, that we're providing that support for them. Also working on mock interviews and preparing for career fairs, just all this happening at once, and then trying to create a leadership panel to come and speak for our future students and students that we have currently to give them some inspiration. And additionally, for anyone watching, what I was going to say, with things all going on in the world, you can reach me at ASUWT.uw.edu, or you can drop any notes, any words of anything at the School of Education. I have a mailbox in there, so I'm there to support anyone if needed.
I can go next. Pre-major senator here. I and Moira, the vice president, are going to be collaborating with a advisor from Pre-major Advisors, as well as Trevor Owens, to host a end of the year bash. Just basically wrapping up the year, and also an opportunity for all of the pre-major and transfer students to come together and also serve as basically kind of like a transfer connect event. There's the Board of Regent meeting was recorded and it's on YouTube. I can share the link to the Teams chat, and you guys can all. I recommend you watch the whole thing, and it's for anybody watching online or that might want to watch it. It's on YouTube. You just have to search up the year and what you're looking for, basically the meeting of the Board of Regents, and it should show up. Thank you.
I didn't know.
Set Senator, I'm looking to meet with my dean next quarter. Additionally, I'm helping to be a part of a STEM LLC, living learning community, and sort of just to be a student program assistant to help engage students with more casual events and to help STEM students have a more casual place to connect with their peers.
Awesome. Is that it for senator updates? Cool. Chair updates. I have been working on my capstone. The new master plan came out. I recommend everybody take a look. I've got opinions. In my opinion, it doesn't look that good. As someone who's also working on a master plan. Recommend everybody take a look at that. It's really cool. I need to talk to my dean. I'll probably email him. I'm in New York next week, so you guys need to reach me. Just send me a message on Teams and expect a message week after next. And then advisor updates aren't here. Connor told me ahead of time. I already did the chair updates. Yeah, cool. I adjourn this meeting at 7:16 p.m. Y'all have a great night. Cool.
Thank you guys for being so flexible. Thank you so much.